EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to the JAKIB postgame show. A massive win for the Philadelphia Eagles, 37-20, and they did it on the back of SAQUON Barkley, who had over 300 yards from scrimmage in this game. What an unbelievable performance. Big Sill said before this show started, and I'll let him clarify, maybe one of the best performances he's ever seen in a game. How about that? SAQUON Barkley. Sills, I'm going to say it right at the open, and we'll be joined by John McMullen in a second. We'll be joined, obviously, I have Dan Cilio here. He's the best running back in the NFL by a country mile right now. SAQUON Barkley, 255 on the ground today, another 47 rushing, good for 302 yards total. Big Sills, Birds went 37-20 and moved to 9-2 on the year, my friend.
No doubt. He's having the best year of any running back this year. I'm still taking Henry, but this year, I mean, dude, the story was really the two lines of the Eagles, the D-line and the O-line. I mean, he was getting holes that were so gaping and wide open. They were 4 yards into the secondary when you were talking about people hitting him. The dominant performance by both lines, the defensive line. I mean, Milton Williams was insane tonight, along with Brandon Graham and everyone. I mean, and then you combine that with Barkley's great talent, man. I'm telling you what, unbelievable performance. There's no question. The stars of that football game, A.J. Brown, SAQUON Barkley, and that defense, man, they did one whale of a job in that football game. Boy, I got to tell you, man, I'm going to say it one more time to you, Xander. The story of that game was both lines. The offensive line, but the first touching of the old line, when it came to Barkley, they were 4 yards deep. What a tremendous performance by both lines. I'll say it again, man. I mean, as much as I say he's a great talent, the dominant performance was what you saw with the pressure they put on Stafford and the pressure they put on the Rams defense. They just could not stop SAQUON Barkley, and that had a lot to do with the offensive line performance.
Joined now by John McMullen. John, 37-20, and SAQUON Barkley goes for over 300 yards. He had 30 total touches, 302 total yards with 2 touchdowns. What's your reaction, John McMullen?
Yeah, that is the 9th most yards from scrimmage in a game in NFL history, and the most by anyone in 9 years. You got to go back to Antonio Brown in 2015. Yeah, spectacular performance. But Dan's right, man. This offensive line, and we talked about it in the pregame show, and I was crowing about it. They were going to out-physical this undersized defensive front, and that's exactly what they did. And then the defensive front also dominated the game pretty much from pressuring Matthew Stafford. Some nice things. You could see the arm talent. You could see, Puka Nacua, nice player. Cooper Kupp, we all know, a little bit down the field for the Rams when they got time. But boy, this is how Howie builds this team. He said that's how we roll, build on the offensive, defensive fronts, and they dominated today. This was a performance. This was their best performance of the season. They dominated this team. We talked at halftime. It really wasn't that close. They just shot themselves in the foot a couple times. Should have been up 2 scores by that point. And they just completely. I had the feeling at halftime they were going to completely down. It took one play, and SAQUON went 70 yards, and then he went 72. Franchise record. Eagles have only been around for 92 years, I believe. So that's the franchise record, 255. Adrian Peterson, the all-time record, 296. So who knows? Get one more carry, he might have went for 70 again. Yeah, they just dismantled that Rams front. Dismantled it. For all the talk about Jared Verse and
handle them.
Yeah, yeah. They just, And it's not a surprise. I mean, the Eagles' offensive line is so physical, and they completely dominated the game.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Saquon Barkley's he's the best player in the league right now. I don't care
Yeah.
who says anything. That
Yeah.
dude is playing like a man on a mission. I mean, it's unbelievable to watch right now. 300 plus yards in the game. John, what'd you say it was? 9th most in NFL history?
9th most in NFL history. Yeah, I'm not going to get in that argument. He's not the best player on the team, never mind best player in the league. But
he's by far the
having
best
that.
player on the team.
Oh, no,
yeah.
AJ Brown's the best.
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown was last tonight.
Even Saquon would tell you that.
AJ Brown was a force tonight, and they could not stop it, which kept everything wide open. The two dominant things on that team tonight were clearly the O-line, and they could not have an answer for what.
I don't want to get. I don't want to get in this. Saquon's great. Saquon's great.
John, I don't want to dismiss what Saquon did tonight.
Neither do I.
I don't want.
But I mean, this is the.
Let's not get crazy.
Yes, he's the guy.
Crazy? What do you mean get crazy, Sills? 300 plus yards in a game, 255 on the ground.
I just said, if anybody thinks that Barkley's better than Brown as a talent, you're nuts.
I think Saquon Barkley's the best player in the league.
Okay. I guarantee you he finishes out of the top 10 in MVP votes this year.
No, that's not going to happen.
Well,
he's got a legit shot.
It's a quarterback award, and he'll have no shot.
Well, by a lot, and that tells you the kind of season Saquon's having because he's in the conversation. And you're right; it's a quarterback award. You got to have a historic season.
Now, John, if he gets $2,000, John, if he gets 2105 and goes by Eric Dickerson's number of 2105, then we're having a conversation.
Well, to even be in the conversation in this era of football is a tremendous accomplishment, and he's in the conversation.
Right. And I'm not dismissing him at all because it was tremendous tonight.
But to Xander's point, look, the splash and come on. There's Penei Sewell. There's Lane Johnson on this team. There's AJ Brown. The quarterbacks in this league, the impact, Patrick Mahomes. Come on, stop.
John, is this
we don't have to go.
I'll never get the votes, but it's listen again. I don't want to go there because it was incredible.
Oh, we went there. Oh, we're there, folks.
Okay,
Big Sills, we went there.
Okay, there's a.
You went there. We didn't go there.
Hey, do you know how many people that have gained 2,000 yards in this league and weren't even in the top 3 when it came to MVP voting? Almost all of them.
Not many, because not many, because only 3-4 guys.
Peterson's the last guy to win that. But again, Terrell Davis and all them guys. I mean,
no, Adrian Peterson won it when I covered him. He won the MVP. He's the last running back to win MVP. The year, and he's still the best runner I've ever seen. But that was a different era. It's really hard. Saquon deserves all the credit. It's really hard to even be in the conversation. And right now, guess what? If the season ended tonight, the Xanders of the world would win. He would be the MVP.
He might win it. I mean, Jamal Lewis had over 2,000 rushing yards, and he wasn't even in the top 7. Now, again, John, like you said, that's a different era now. So I don't know how people would look at that, especially with today's voters.
Yeah, but they're in love with stats, and the stats are great right now. Yeah. So I mean, he's having a great season.
Right,
he's having a great season. I'm just saying, come on, he's not the best player in the league. He might be having the best season.
For north of 2,000 rushing yards right now. Guys.
He might even be having the best season, but come on, you got to know the difference. That's a Jody argument. Come on, you got to know the difference.
No.
Okay,
I'm not going to let you box me into any fucking corner on what that dude is putting the league on fire right now. He just had a 300+ yard game. Everybody's asking me, is it a 2-jersey week, a 2-jersey giveaway week?
Well,
I didn't want to do it because the rules are the rules.
It should be a 2-jersey giveaway.
I might be doing 2 jerseys, especially after this. He's the best player on the Eagles. He is the best player on the Eagles.
Xander, in the history of the league, on people gaining 2,000 yards, only 2 people have ever won the Most Valuable Player award.
So I
Him
don't give a
winning
shit
it,
about the
well,
MVP.
him
Why
winning
are
it,
you stuck on the
him
MVP?
winning it will be impossible.
Why are you stuck on the MVP? Who
I don't
cares?
agree. I don't even agree with that. But I disagree with Dan saying he can't win the MVP. I think he can win the MVP. Now, I still think the odds are against him, but I think he can win the MVP if he continues to perform at this level. And I'm not talking about tonight. I'm talking in general because you can't run for 255 every week. But in general, if he keeps performing at the level he's performing at, he's going to be in the top 5. He's
Hey,
going to be
John,
in the
think of this.
conversation.
If you're the Giants,
But to Xander's point, no, he's not the fucking best player in the league. Stop it.
hey,
Stop.
John, can you
John, let me
imagine
guess.
this?
Wait, let me guess. Christian McCaffrey's better than Saquon, and Derrick Henry's better than
No,
Saquon.
he's had a
and
better
AJ
career.
Brown.
No,
Saquon
he's had
is
a better
proven
career.
better than all of them.
Dude,
All of them.
McCaffrey's had a superior career to Barkley.
McCaffrey's
Come
not
on.
better than Saquon Barkley.
But
He's had a
McCaffrey's been
better
hurt all
career.
year.
No question. Okay, 100 receiving yards.
McCaffrey can't
100
even
receiving
sniff
yards.
his jock strap right
Are
now.
you crazy? You really think that Barkley's had a better career than McCaffrey?
He's just playing it.
Are you out of
He's
your
playing.
mind?
He's playing a character now. He's kissing up.
Yeah, I'm
You're
playing
out of your
I'm
mind.
playing
McCaffrey.
This dude is setting NFL records for
Okay.
being on this team, and you guys are delegitimizing it in a major way.
No.
What
no.
I didn't legitimize anything. The only thing I just said he had a phenomenal game. I'm the one who told you set the franchise record, 9th most scrimmage yards. I'm giving you all the information. The only thing I'm delegitimizing is the fraud of kissing up to the fan base. That's it.
Oh, shit. You think that guy is better? That guy is better than Josh Allen or Mahomes or any of them guys? You're out of your tree.
I think he's better than AJ Brown. That's for sure.
I don't.
Good for you.
Until
Saquon's
AJ goes off.
Saquon's been a way bigger impact on this football team.
Good for you. Okay. Oh, whatever that means.
They can't win a goddamn game without AJ Brown. Who's had the bigger impact?
No doubt.
They can't win a game without AJ Brown.
Oh my God!
They won
You
one.
two are gonna
I mean,
drive
I'm
me
with you,
nuts.
John. I don't know what this is about, but go ahead.
All right, John, I'm coming to you. Next question here. What's your other takeaways on this game outside of Saquon Barkley? Because we'll be on that all night based on the way you guys are talking about it. What else did you see out there, Johnny Mac, tonight?
I saw exactly what I said would happen in the pregame show. Out physicaling. You know, everybody's concerned about the undersized. Oh, they're so athletic. They're so. You got monsters on the offensive front who beat them to death, basically. And then the defensive front, concerning though, Brandon Graham, who had a phenomenal game.
Oh my God!
At 36 years old,
Unreal.
And then he left with an elbow injury. So that's a concern because remember, you're already down one edge rusher. So you can't afford to lose another. Josh Sweat got hurt as well, but he was able to come back. So that was positive. But the game was won on 3rd down.
Yeah.
The Eagles were 9 of 15 on 3rd down. So many times, by the way, because everybody's going to focus on Saquon, rightfully so. You know, Jalen Hurts converted so many with 3rd and 5. He's getting 5.5 yards. Just, you know, every time the lack of discipline on the Rams pass rush, mainly again because they're getting pushed around. So guys are pushing them inside, pushing them outside.
They couldn't set the edge on 3rd down.
Can't do it. 9 of 15 on 3rd down. Meanwhile, the Rams were 0 of 8 on 3rd downs. And speaking of, I'm going to make this fraud night because I think Xander's kissing up to the fan base. But the second fraud is Sean McVay. That guy's a freaking fraud, at least when it comes to Vic Fangio, at least when it comes to a defensive coordinator who understands what he's trying to do. He's a one-trick pony, and Vic figured him out 6-7 years ago, whatever it was, and it hasn't stopped. It hasn't
John, you
stopped.
keep taking shots that I'm kissing up to the fan. You know who I think you're kissing up to? I think you're kissing up to August John McMullen, who told me Christian McCaffrey's way better. Saquon Barkley won't have that much of an impact on this football team. He's not all that great. He's a good not great player. I think you're kissing up the previous version of yourself. So I don't give a shit who I'm kissing up to. I
No,
just
no,
want
no, no. I
300
got him
yards
upset.
in a game.
I got him
John Mack.
upset. Oh, I got him upset. Here's
Good.
the deal. You're lying again because I'm the one who said he'd have 16 to 1,700 total yards.
Did you say he's a
and
good,
you were
not great
less.
player? Did
And
you
you
say
were
he's a good,
less.
not great player?
He was a good but not great player in New York.
God.
You
guys can't look in the mirror
Are you
and see that you
fucking
were
crazy?
blatantly
This
wrong
guy
about this
had
player.
not-
I can't help you.
Am I lying?
Bro, you're
You
way
can't
off
help
your
me.
rocker. If you think that guy was good in New York, he was okay.
He wasn't good in New York. Oh, what an indictment on the player that is.
Well, that's who he is, dude.
What is this? What is this even turning into? You can't look in this camera and say, I didn't say this player would have more yards than you.
Unbelievable.
I mean, give me a fucking break.
Oh shit.
What is that bullshit?
I have no idea where
Did I think he would have this?
I have no fucking idea.
Did I think he would have this kind of impact? Absolutely not. I have no problem admitting that. But I was ahead of you.
Yeah, really. Like everyone saw 2,000 rushing yards. Sure, Xander. You should have put the money down on it too, and all the super chats on it.
Big Sills, you're still in tears over there that we're 9-2. Jalen keeps playing efficient football.
That's
no
what
turnovers going on right now, and we look like a Super Bowl contender. And you've been dead wrong all season long.
That's what I am.
By the way, they are a Super Bowl contender.
Oh, they're easily a Super Bowl contender. I mean, when you can out-physical any team you go up against, you're a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, that's the reason why they're a Super Bowl contender, because of their offensive line and their defensive front. Like always, that's what the Philadelphia Eagles are built upon.
Correct.
They just happen to have a better running back, so they've gotten even better when it comes to closing games.
More skilled at the back position, absolutely.
Second half of games, but remember, this team was 10-1 last year. At this point. If you go back to 2020, I believe they were also 10-1. This is not new. This team's been that way. They're even better because Saquon Barkley's better than Miles Sanders. He's better than DeAndre Swift. Now we can see, and by the way, there were some positive points to the passing game as well. Just A.J. Brown, mainly not anybody else, but hey, if that's all you need, if it's Barkley and Brown and Jalen Hurts converting on third downs and you can get there, we're going to learn a lot about this team next week against Baltimore, because that's a physical team. They're not going to be able to out-physical Baltimore. They might beat them, but Baltimore's the kind of team that can stand up to them. The Rams are not that.
Big Sales, let me come to you. Jalen Hurts was 15 of 22 tonight, 179, a touchdown, 1 sack, 12 yards. What'd you make of him tonight?
Kind of what I said, 153, right around in there, and I thought he'd get 65 yards. I thought some of the things that he did, especially on third down, breaking their back when they couldn't contain him. Every single time they needed a big play to get out of that third and long, it wasn't really in the passing game. It was more with his wheels. Those third downs, man, they break a back of a defensive football team. I mean, look, when you have a dual threat like that at running back and at quarterback that are going to be able to not set the edge like the Rams couldn't do, there is no question that when they got in third, especially when they got in pass rush situations, I saw Jordan Mailata put on his back at least 3 times tonight when they were able to get in pass rush. They got out of that, they ran the football, and they ran it right down their throats. And there's no question that they are better running the team, obviously, over 300 some odd yards rushing. And I'll say this to you too, John, on the other side, I can't remember a team, the last team that went for over 300 yards against the Eagle defense. The MVP of that team, you can say all you want about Barkley, but the MVP of that team might be the defensive coordinator. He is absolutely just incredible in what he's doing. He's rejuvenated.
By the way,
Nakobe Dean is playing his ass off right now. Brandon Graham is kicking the shit out of people.
I got to break in real quick. Some bad news. Brandon Graham just confirmed he is done for the season.
Oh my
way.
God.
torn triceps. So that puts and what a game, by the way.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
man.
That is
Yeah.
awful news.
yeah, tore his triceps. And this is it for Brandon, unless he wants to come back and use the injury. That's a shame. Boy, he was
Oh,
playing so
man.
great.
He was all over the field.
Yeah, but and from a larger perspective, just from a team perspective, hey, I feel for Brandon Graham. He's probably the best.
Well, you know what?
person.
Let me put a silver lining on that. If that was Brandon Graham's last game, what a great way to go out, because he absolutely wrecked that team tonight. He was getting around. He looked like a 25-year-old edge rusher, guys. He was getting around the edge like there were like he was 25. He was cooking on the outside. Man, that sucks.
That's so
PG.
sucks, man.
Did he say that at his press conference, Sean, or did he report that? What happened there?
Yeah, he said it himself. So he's done. You could see, by the way. I don't know if they showed it a little bit on broadcast. I don't know if anybody, but when he was sitting there, you could see the dejection on his face. I knew something was up. And they declared him out with I believe they defined it as an elbow injury at the time. But
John, that limits him now, though. Now the Eagles now.
Well, yeah. Remember that Bryce Huff is already out. People say they don't care about Bryce Huff, but he was giving them snaps. Now they're down to Josh Sweat. Nolan Smith becomes a starter, and Jelix Hunt is your top backup. You talk about things that could derail this season. You saw how dominating that front was today with Brandon Graham. All of a sudden, you're very, very light on the edge.
Yeah.
As far as depth goes, at a rotational position where you need guys in waves, that's a big injury. That is a big injury.
Well,
and there's not much to complain about in this game.
Right.
I mean, that happens in football, obviously, but yeah, that's tough. I just wrote on Sports Illustrated that the one position they can't afford, because you can't afford multiple injuries at the same position, and bang, they get multiple injuries at the same position.
You know what's going to happen there, John? Because I noticed when they had some injury there tonight and Sweat went out late in the game, they were lining Zach Bond up on the edge. You think they could rotate some of those guys? And
like that idea.
I mean, you don't want to take Zach Bond out of the middle linebacker. Don't get me wrong.
Like the idea.
But they got to do something. I mean, you got to get pressure from the edge, and it's too late in the year now to make a trade or to go. I mean, who's out there? I don't think many people are out there right now.
Well, the trade deadline's passed. You can't trade for anybody.
Obviously,
there's guys you can pick up off the street, but they're not going to help you much. They brought in edge rusher last week on the practice squad, O'Shawn Mathis. Maybe he gets elevated to the 53. Teron Jackson's back. Jelix Hunt's going to have to hit the ground running. If I'm thinking about Vic and the way he thinks, he might kick Milton Williams out to more edge rusher snaps. Milton had a big game today.
Sacks. I thought he had 3, but 2 sacks. He was all over the place.
He was.
Hey, John, that arm over by Jalen Carter tonight, where he whipped that guy in front of him, was Jerome Brown-esque. He was a force. I mean, all that pressure those guys were getting on the middle was a lot to do with the internal pressure that he was creating for Stafford not to be able to step up. I thought he played exceptionally well again for another night. They did really well inside. I mean, man, but you lose a guy like John said, BG, you're already limited just in personnel, not just production, but personnel. You're limited out there. They may come up with a way of using Bond. I like that idea, Xander, because it's not beneath him to try to figure a way to create pressure to try to get to the quarterback. So we'll see what he does, because as you said, John, I don't know how many people are walking the street right now that you could just bring bodies in. You're looking for productivity. You're not just looking for a body right now.
Well, if you look at Miami last year with Vic Fangio, they lost Jalen Phillips and Andrew Van Ginkel late in the season. And when they went to the playoffs, they had to sign guys off the street, and they were playing a playoff game with guys off the street, and it did not go well. It's it's tough to do it at this point after the trade deadline. So unfortunately, that's going to be something they have to deal with. Alex Hunt might have to be the guy. You might just say, not might. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to have to throw him into the deep end of the pool, and maybe lightning strikes twice. You get another Cooper DeJean. Who knows? But that is not a positive for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Eagles fans feeling every range of emotion tonight, folks. I mean, that just, you killed my mood when you tell me Brandon Graham's out for the year, tore his triceps, obviously. So
you know what, though, Xander? Hey, just to go back to the open here, us going back and forth. John, I don't know about you, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth here, but that's a takeaway game, Xander.
Yes, it is.
That's a takeaway game. John was talking, and I loved how he phrased that. There were the Giant game was not a takeaway game. Tonight's game was a takeaway game. You went against some quality wide receivers and quality quarterback tonight, and you know what they did? They gave up early. They settled down. They got pressure. Vic figured it out in game. They ended up being dominant at running the football. You know what I really liked about that whole game plan? There were in-game adjustments in that game where it went right to the strengths. They got away from being anything stupid. And I'll tell you what, it was really well done coaching-wise and how they were able to just weather the storm on the road. Then they ended up blowing that team out of SoFi.
Yep, and it seems to be a trend now, guys, that but if you're going to have a shot to get to work the Eagles defense, it seems to be early in games, and then they make the adjustments, and they're much harder the scoring is much harder to come by for these teams late in games.
And by the way, they ended up giving up 290, so that's their worst performance.
Yeah, how many of that was that garbage time?
It was garbage. It was so much of it. That's what I was about to say. So much of it was garbage time.
Yeah,
and
the last offensive touchdown was just garbage time. Xander, when you hold somebody under 300 yards in today's NFL, that's a massive win. I mean, and for them to do that, I can't remember the last time they gave up 300 yards in total offense. They're having a stretch now. It's just sensational.
Yeah, they really almost held the Rams to under 20 again. Obviously, that touchdown came late. By the way, that came on Quinyon Mitchell, which I'm obviously not going to pick on Quinyon Mitchell, but I almost think it's a good time. Like, if you're going to get beat or you're going to learn from something, have it late in a game like that. You're not Iron Man. You're human. Keep working on your craft, and it's a good little humble.
I hope people really. I hope that's not a big deal at all.
Oh no, it's not.
I hope people don't think it is, because it's kind of silly that what they were expecting, holding up Quinyon to this ridiculous standard. Still a young player, still learning. Two very good receivers. By the way, Nakua he is an impressive player.
Yes, he
is.
John, I said he's highly rated. I think he's still a little underrated. I really do. I think he's a really good receiver out there. I love the way he plays. Very physical. Guys, I want to give somebody their flowers, and y'all have you guys analyze his game tonight. Somebody who I think has been getting some recognition for what he's done, but has really come into his own as, I think, better than average. I think getting toward the upper echelon in the league, and I'd have to look at the numbers. Nakobe Dean. I think Nakobe Dean has been a real force out there. He plays physical. He plays hard. He's quick. What did you, Sills, I'll start with you. What did you see from Nakobe Dean out there tonight, and just what you've seen from him coming into his own as a player this year?
He's strung together a lot of really good games. And you know what? Here's what my issues were with him. He had 248 total NFL reps coming into this season. Okay? He wasn't a durable guy. I don't know what system he was in with the Psy a year ago, but I'll tell you what, Vic uses this guy to his assets. And I happen to think, John, the guy playing next to him is also benefiting this guy being able to play, and the guys in front of him that are keeping those guards off him. There is no question. Hey, he rushes the passer better than I thought They didn't do that a year ago. They bring him with pressure. He is quick to the ball. He is definitely getting better and better and better and better each and every single week. They kind of keep him out of coverage issues. He's haven't really had to do that much. But when it comes to tackling, pursuit angles, getting to the quarterback, there's no question. If there was an award, John, for the most improved player on the Philadelphia Eagle defense, Nakobe Dean right now is the leader and the front runner to be the most improved player on that defensive football team.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm trying to think, most of the other guys weren't here, like Zach Bond and the rookies. So of the guys who were here, yeah, I don't think there's any doubt the biggest improvement has come from Nakobe Dean. And part of that, he was durable in college. He was durable. He played all 17 games as a rookie. Granted, only on special teams when he was a backup. And he got hurt last year. And maybe the silver lining to that was he hurt his foot. So he had a Lisfranc injury, had surgery. He was in the rollabout. He was in the boot. He was on the crutches for a very long period of time where he couldn't work out his lower body, and he was working out his upper body. He got a lot bigger. He's a lot more physical. He's great going downhill. He's a very good blitzer. And the issues with Nakobe Dean tend to be in coverage. And Vic has figured out a way. You mentioned, Dan, that they seem to have figured. I don't know how, because I'd be taking shots at him, but nobody can figure out how to take shots at him. So again, we go back to Vic Fangio. It's like he's got the ability to accentuate the strengths of his players and minimize their deficiencies. I don't know how he does it, but he's doing it.
That's the mark of a great. That's a mark of a great coordinator. Because if you go back to Jim Johnson, John, I brought this up numerous times, and I talked to Eric Allen about this. One of the things too that Corey Simon told me was that Hugh Douglas didn't want to run. He didn't want to run. He didn't want to play in the run game. He didn't want to be that guy. So what Jim did was he created a position for him where he just rushed him off the edge, rushed him on first and second down blitzes. And they created a kind of pseudo position for him, and he turned out to be an Eagle Hall of Famer with that. In my opinion, that's truly the mark of a really great coordinator, is being able to take the assets of what a player does, utilize them to the best ability for it to fit a scheme, put him in that scheme, and Vic has done that everywhere. That zone coverage that they did, I'll tell you what, John, I don't know about you, but that zone coverage defense that he plays with, that too high safety, man, it just seems – it seems completely different than the too high they played last year. Like maybe they're up on the ball more. I don't know, man. Or is it just talent that they get to the ball and they're better tacklers and there's better angles because they look quick to the ball. When that ball's out and it gets into the wide receiver's hands, last year it looked like it meandered getting to the player and there was open space. There doesn't look like an open space and a lot of open space out there because those guys look like they're really good tacklers compared to where they were a year ago. They were 30th, according to PFF, last year in tackling. That's not the case.
Well, they were bad at the beginning of this season.
Yeah, first four.
They kind of figured it out. They redid some of their tackling circuits of practice. Bobby King, who's the linebackers coach, kind of took it over, and they've gotten much better at it. And they practice it a little bit more as much as you can. Nobody hits in practice anymore. Nobody's that physical, but they try to work on technique and all that stuff as much as possible. It seems to have paid off, but they've been one of the best tackling teams in the NFL so far this season, and definitely over the past 7 weeks. This looks like a really good team right now. Really good team that could beat you a host of different ways, and that's what you want. But I think of it all, and we go back to the start, and I apologize for upsetting you, Xander, but
you don't need to apologize.
The defense to me is the story of this team.
And you line.
It just is. It just is. I mean, they were terrible last year. We were talking, you talk about me in August talking about Saquon. What about me in August talking about the defense? What about me in August talking about the linebackers? I got no problems admitting when I'm wrong. I have no I didn't see this defense being. I thought the upside of this defense was 15 or 16, middle of the road. And that's because I thought Vic would get them a little bit better. This is arguably the best defense in the NFL. That's the story of this season for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Well, you're not to worry about that, John. I'll tell him. I'm not sorry about shit. And I'll tell you, Xander, at the end of the day,
if anybody's the least story on this panel, it's your boy right here.
About me, Junior. The story for me with that team was what John said at the beginning in the pregame. The O-line and D-line, this is as good as it was in 17 right now. John, you know what I said about that team? I didn't know anything really about your special guys, your offensive specialists. I didn't know it. I just knew this. That's the best collection of O-line, D-line. And Jason Peters was even hurt going into the playoffs for that year. And I said, that's the best combination. John, I'll make this point to you. The Eagles right now have the best combination of D-line and O-line in the league, and that's going to carry them a long way.
I agree with that because, Detroit lost Aiden Hutchinson. So remember that. They don't have Aiden Hutchinson. So when we talk about Brandon Graham, obviously a difficult injury. They suffered that guy might have been the defensive player of the year. But, this is when I talk about, think about this. The Rams are flawed, as we know, as we discussed. But you know what? Matthew Stafford's out there. Cooper Kupp's out there.
That's right.
Puka Nakua's out there.
Great.
And the Eagles defense didn't give up a third down.
Absolutely. No way, man. That was a great performance by them. I mean, John, we're talking about one of the greatest passers in the game who's going to be a Hall of Fame guy. I mean, and he still can throw those balls on a dime when he needs to get the ball. But when he gets pressure on him, which they got to him, they did a fabulous job. There's no question. There's some massive – hey, last week was a takeaway game. This was a massive takeaway game because here's what I took away from this week. There is no question, John, that when you look at the NFC, especially, Xander, and you look around the NFC, do you have anybody on that side of the aisle when it comes to the conference where you went like this outside of Detroit? I mean, do I really do this? Hey, Minnesota, man. Yeah. No, I don't. Green Bay? No, I don't. Now, injuries are going to play a factor as you go along these next 6 ball games, and especially this coming week when you've got the Ravens coming up. This is, you know what this is going to come down to for the Eagles winning a Super Bowl? The survival. Will they have the roster at the end of the year to line up and play for a Super Bowl? Because as you saw tonight, the war of attrition had its casualty tonight for the Eagles. Yeah. Just like the casualty for Aiden Hutchinson with Detroit. John knows as good as anybody. 53 men start the season. 53 men don't usually finish the season like we saw in 22. Tonight, we saw a little bit of that.
And by the way, I was questioning, to be honest, I was questioning why SAQUON was in the game for that second 70-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, I was with you, John.
What the hell? It's 30-14.
Yeah, they weren't coming back.
I'm like, I get it's a 2-score game, so, but boy, I would have pulled them.
Yeah,
I would have pulled them.
I tell you what, I mean, we'll see what other ramifications come on the injury front. Slay went down, Sweat went down. There's a couple other guys that had so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I tell you what, right now, I bet you that Brandon Graham injury is going to be a rallying cry in that locker room. I mean, I know that people don't think that stuff matters. John, you point to how confidence matters all the time in the league. I think stuff like that matters when you have a team, and they might say, hey, let's try and go win this thing for Brandon Graham. Hopefully the rest of the squad can stay ready, guys. You got to get to our commercial.
One thing here before you go to commercial, John, 26 carries, 28 carries last week. We're floating around that 360 carries for the season. I mean, is that a concern? Because you just brought it up. Why is he in the ball game there when you have that much of a lead there? I mean, 300. The most he's ever had is 292 carries. Now, the old John, he's getting hit 4 yards past the old line.
I know.
So,
That
I mean,
helped.
you know, I don't know how much physicality he's taking.
Well, remember, he got banged up a little bit in the first half.
He
It
did,
looked
yeah,
like
an
he was
ankle.
dealing with a little bit of a groin type thing when he was walking off gingerly. And he was out for a while and then came back. I don't know. I'd be more cautious. By the way, we should get to that after the break. It doesn't matter because it's a blowout, but Nick Sirianni made some bad decisions today.
Yes, he did. Yeah, I'm happy.
Legit bad decision. Not like bullshit we were arguing. Legit bad decisions today.
Yeah, at the end of the first half was one that comes right to mind for me.
That was appalling, the end of the first half. And then he declined the penalty on 4th and 3. The refs let him off the hook.
I think that was a makeup call for the PI, the bad PI.
Everybody says that.
All right, we'll let you have this. We'll let you have it.
That's incompetence. That's incompetence by the officiating crew, as was the PI. But it's not a makeup call. They just, it's like, what are you doing? I said immediately, what are you doing? It's going to be 4th and 3. They're going to go for it immediately.
Then you gave him 2 downs.
Yeah, that was weird.
Well, you didn't. They let him change his mind, but
I got to get.
By the way, if that's just if the NFL's got to close that loophole if that's allowed, because it shouldn't be allowed.
Good stuff there. Let's get to our commercial break. SAQUON Barkley lights the lamp tonight, everybody. Over 300 total yards. We had a great debate at the start of the show. I think the best player in the NFL is SAQUON Barkley.
I'm not apologizing for anything.
Wait, Stills, one thing. Say it with me. Ready, Stills? No hole. Say it. Ready? No holes defense. Right, so say it with me, Sills. The no holes defense. We'll be back.
Don't worry, Junior. They're getting there, and we're gonna find out this weekend. We got Derrick Henry coming into town.
Oh, it was gonna find out at the Rams. Now we're gonna find out the Rams.
No.
We'll find out.
Are you suggesting you don't think Derrick Henry is gonna be a problem in Lamar?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. Derrick Henry's a beast. He's second best running back in the league behind SAQUON Barkley.
Okay.
By the way,
all right, let's get to the commercial. I got to get to the break. Thanks, everybody.
By the way, you're going to see the best player in the world December 1st in Baltimore. His name is Lamar Jackson.
SAQUON Barkley. I just watched him. I don't know what you're talking about. I just watched the best player in the world in LA, in SoFi. SAQUON Barkley. All right, let me get to the break. Hit that like button, everybody. Hit the like button for SAQUON. Hit the like button for Brandon Graham, who's going to miss it. Hit the like button for the no holes defense. Hit the like button for the best player in the NFL, SAQUON Barkley. We'll be back in 3 minutes, everybody.
Ignite your night.